My thoughts on the president's address tonight are very few. First, I've always spoken about his body language when talking about the way the president addressed the nation. Of the 7 addresses, I think that tonight was the most difficult for him, probably. Body language was stressed. His usual flow was not there. Pronunciation of certain things were difficult, and it's, for an orator like our president, very unlike him. Perhaps it gives us an indication of how difficult the measures he put out were for him and probably for his government. I also feel that, if you look at all the delays that came with the 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., it gives you a sense of what is going on behind the scenes. But to the matter at hand, the decision to lift the lockdown, as we saw in certain parts of the president's speech, i.e., the part where he gave the 5 reasons why the lockdown was lifted. He mentioned limiting the spread of the virus, containing, the spread also, adequately taking care of the sick, making sure that the virus did not affect the socio-economic part of the country or limit it, and also to deepen our self-reliance. These are the 5 reasons he gave. Now, in other parts of the speech, you notice that the president made references to certain key things I'd like to draw your attention to. He mentioned that most of our cases are imported, suggesting that because now the community infections have gone out of the way, whatever decision he has taken has been taken. He also mentioned that the decision has been backed by science, which is interesting, because if the science suggests that we have 80,000 cases that are backlogged, which means that they have been sampled but we don't have the results, 80,000, and the science suggests that we are going to have less cases than average, then that is why the president decided to lift the lockdown, per what he says. But I did some mathematics in school. I'm sure most of you did as well. Regression analysis, exponential equations and all that. It doesn't really tally with my layman's understanding of the issues, which suggests again that because he's the president of Ghana, he is weighing in on several issues apart from the science, which makes sense. The economic decision part is huge. We have already seen videos in the last 20 minutes where people have been jubilating in the streets because the lockdown has been lifted, and that is the reality on the ground. People are suffering, people are hustling. As much as I'm not a rich man, it is possible that probably for the next week I can have 3 square meals without hustling too much. I'd have to tighten my bucket with my family. But for most people, that is not the case. And I think that they are the reason why the president did what he did. In as much as many of you, and I've seen a lot of your comments there, are hugely disappointed that the lockdown has been lifted because it doesn't make sense to you, because the president is the same person who keeps saying that if the virus moves, it means then that people are moving. If you move, the virus moves. But the same president is telling you to move, which suggests that he wants us to get more cases. I need you to understand that 29 million people have just one president. And the fact that you can afford certain comforts does not mean that a lot of people can afford those comforts. From a personal point of view, I don't like the fact that the lockdown has been lifted for the reasons I've enumerated here. But understand that as a leader, he probably needs to take decisions that will ensure something key, which is security. Because you see, on the street, when people get hungry, they'll start coming into your home and my home. What the president wants to avoid is to play this gamble. It's a very, very dangerous gamble he's playing, but we can only hope. So what I'll leave you with is, in my heart of heart, I know that this is an economic decision. I don't want to say purely economic because that will be insulting the president's intelligence. He says it's backed by the science. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt as a leader of the country. But I believe that it's a purely economic decision because he feels that, and which is true, a lot of people are hungry. A lot of people are losing their livelihoods. Businesses are collapsing and so on. What I think will happen is that in the intervening period when the lockdown is lifted, two things will be on top of the president's agenda. If the cases shoot up exponentially, he will be forced not to have a partial lockdown again. He could even escalate it to a total lockdown. Two, in the heat of the moment, most of us did not pay attention to key portions of the president's speech. He mentioned at a point that if he notices, or the government notices, that cases are increasing in certain communities, he is going to invite health personnel, security agencies, that is the police and the military, to lock down those places. So what we should be expecting is that in areas where the government sees that cases are shooting up exponentially, those areas will be locked down, which suggests again that the prerogative of this president is to ensure that the economy does not collapse. I know most of you don't agree with that, but at the end of the day, Maslow's theory of needs are very clear. Food, clothing, shelter first before anything else. And I think that is what the president is doing. Initially, myself, my wife, she's here, she's very, very pissed. Very, very pissed at the lifting of the lockdown. But I tend to agree with the general idea behind the president's decision. So all we can say is that wear your face mask when you can. This is really a time where each man is for himself and God is for us all. Do your best to protect yourself and your family, because right now the state protection that was there in the last 2 weeks is not there anymore. All the best and enjoy yourselves. Have a happy lifting of the lockdown. Bye-bye.